You are listening to One Happy Podcast, episode 26.
The perfect island amongst all the islands out there to find a dream vacation.
Bon dia and welcome to One Happy Podcast, the officially unofficial podcast of the island of Aruba. I'm your host, Curtis Robinson, aka Aruba Kurt, and man, do I have something special in store for you guys. But first, I want to thank you all for taking the time to download and listen to the show. Today on One Happy Podcast, I have a fantastic show planned for you all, as I'm being joined by two very special guests. One has been visiting Aruba for a decade and just recently received the Distinguished Visitor Award, which is granted to those who have visited Aruba for 10 consecutive years, and the other is a relative newbie to the island, having completed one trip to paradise with another scheduled for next month. Together, they form the team behind a website many of you already know, Aruba Trip Tips, which, much like this podcast, is dedicated to sharing knowledge and experiences about our favorite place, the island of Aruba. One Happy Podcast would like to welcome to the show the Aruba Trip Tips team, Bill Mora and Christina Canzoneri.
Hello, everyone, and as they say in Aruba, Masha Danki.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
So I've told the listeners a little bit about you guys, but why don't you fill in any blanks that I may have missed?
Okay, well, I guess I'll start with myself. I've started going to Aruba since about 2004. And that was the first time I ever went to Aruba. Now, I just want to give a little history, exactly how that came about. Around 2004, I was about the age of 36, working in New York City. And I remember the time period. It was a very, very cold winter that we had that year. And I felt that I'd been through the grind, and I really wanted to go away to a place that would really allow me to decompress. So I had to research around, what place I'd like to go, but another important factor with going to a place that I'd like to go would probably involve sun and fun and just overall rest. I wanted safety as well. So I started to consult with friends, if they knew about Aruba or what place they would recommend. And some friends recommended Aruba, and they said that it would meet all my concerns with regards to a lot of sun, a lot of fun, a lot of safety. Now, safety was a concern, and I emphasized that because when I was 36, in around that time in my life, most of my friends had moved on and moved away and had already been married off. And at that time, I was still single. So this was the first time I was going to venture out of the United States by myself. So yes, even though being a male, I still had concerns, and I wanted to make sure I was going to go to a safe place. In any case, I did ask around, and people recommended Aruba, so I decided to go. But at the last minute, my father had decided to join me, which was a very pleasant surprise. In any case, we went down there for a week. I was very, very surprised and very impressed. I had heard stories about Aruba, but to be quite honest with you, to experience it and from what you really hear, totally two different stories. People say wonderful things, but to actually be there is a totally different story. The people, the culture, the food was all right on point with what I wanted and what I needed. And even my father was very surprised and had a great time. We explored the island as much as we could, and I did a couple of excursions by myself, and had a great time doing it. The people were fantastic, and I'd like to say that, the food, the culture, and everything's great down there, but I think probably one of the richest assets that the island has to offer are the Aruban people themselves. Because if you don't have the Aruban people, the package will not be complete.
Yeah, I agree with all that so much. The people of Aruba really are what makes the island so special.
I've been around the Caribbean to some of the other islands, and some of the islands are beautiful down there, but you can't quite find the personal feel that you get from the Aruban people. And it truly is a testament to what the island has to offer. They're the only ones that seem to get the ingredients quite right. Although the other islands are beautiful, for everything that they offer. But for me personally, I think they strike the right balance.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've been to probably a dozen other islands, and now we only return to Aruba, it seems. I mean, there's some other places that check off a lot of boxes on my list, but Aruba's probably the only one that hits every single aspect of what I'm looking for.
Right.
So, Christina, how about you?
Well, I'm a bit of a newcomer to Aruba, to be honest. Bill has told me, for a long time, all about his love of the island, and we had always wanted to collaborate on a project. We know each other as going back to our childhood, and traveled together, our families. So travel was something that we always enjoyed. And he was so passionate about Aruba that I was like, I've got to become part of this. I've got to get involved. Last year was my first time going there. I'm more of his technical hand. I've built the website. My company does the social media. The name of my firm is CWG Design. But Bill and I have teamed up, and I, too, have become passionate. After my trip there last year, I'm like, this is amazing. I need to go back. I'll be returning next month with my husband and be able to bring him to see all the exciting sites that I want to share with him. So that's how I've become involved and gotten on board Aruba Trip Tips. So it's my passionate project as well now.
That's very cool. It's funny how the island turns us all into ambassadors.
It really brings you in. Wonderful place.
Now that we've learned who you are, I want you guys to take us on a journey to your Aruba.
Sure.
Yes.
By answering the question, when did you first fall in love with Aruba?
Well, I guess let's start with my story. Again, back to 2004, that was the first time I went to Aruba, and I went with my father. Mm-hmm. It was kind of a special moment for me because it's perhaps one of the last father-son bonding moments, and also first time trip that I had ever gone anywhere outside the United States with my father. So that in itself made it special. But again, with everything Aruba had to offer, it just made it that much more, I guess, magical. Let me just cite some examples. Some of the restaurants that we went there to, we would speak with the staff, and they were very friendly. Everybody was very friendly. And by the end of the evening, I remember one of the restaurants, they were so genuinely involved with speaking to us throughout the night that they ended up giving us a tour with about the kitchen and everything and how they prepared the food and everything regarding the preparation of food and just discussing the restaurant and whole. And even after the evening was finished, we were dining over there. One of the waiters offered to say, "Hey, I know you guys are down here. Would you like to come with us, after hours, and we could show you the local places and everything?" Well, unfortunately, we had a very long day, and we didn't really get an opportunity to take that gentleman up on his offer. But I'd like to fast forward. Okay, from 2004, we went to 2006. That was the second time I went back to Aruba. Now, in all that time, I was very impressed, and then I had met my girlfriend, and I had told her many stories about the Aruban people and the charm and the warmth and everything had to offer. And I decided to take my girlfriend then back to Aruba in 2006. And we had a wonderful time. But the surprising part that actually was the clincher that sealed the deal was when we walked into the hotel, one of the hotel personnel, I'm not sure if he was a security or one of the porters or bellhops, had approached me and said, "Hey, I remember you." He said, "I remember you, and by the way, you were here like 2 years ago. Is your father with you?" I was totally floored and utterly shocked because given the amount of people that go to Aruba, and we're talking about probably in the hundreds of thousands of people that pass through Aruba, I was astonished that this person had actually remembered me, and it wasn't something that he was, trying to, pretend that he knew me or anything. He actually was reciting some of the stories that my father was telling him back then 2 years ago, and even some of the stuff that was absolutely amazing. And what was even more impressive was, up until then, I had told my girlfriend about how wonderful this place is. Now, she actually witnessed that, and I think from that point on, both of us were like completely floored and incredibly impressed, and wow, that pretty much sold me. Not to mention that there were others who also recognized me. Some of the staff members from that restaurant that I took my father to on the first vacation also remembered us and greeted me and said, "Oh my God, how's your father doing?" I would have to say that pretty much was so impressive. I don't think any other island could possibly offer something like that.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. I'm sitting here like grinning from ear to ear right now. So, Christina, how about you?
I had a pretty challenging year leading up to my first trip to Aruba, and Bill was traveling down there with his wife again and invited me to join them. to see what the island was all about, and kind of get a break, decompress, get a well-needed change of scenery. And I just know that when I got down there, I just felt all the stress melt away. It was amazing. I mean, from the pressure of New York and my very demanding business, suddenly I felt free, and I really remember just floating away in the ocean and looking at the sky and the sea and going, "This is amazing. If this moment could just last forever, I'd be in heaven."
Yeah, there's nothing like that first moment where you step into the waters around Aruba. At least for me, I know that's true.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Now that we've heard your Aruba story, how about you tell us a little bit more about Aruba trip tips?
Well, like I said to you earlier, that after years of going there, I had realized that there were a lot of things that I experienced, great experiences, and I also started to make realizations and observations that there were a lot of hidden secrets and a lot of gems that otherwise people who were first-time vacationers or return vacationers perhaps didn't know about. And what I was amazed that when I did the research originally to go down to Aruba, and even subsequent years, I was researching to find out other stuff that I could do, that there were some websites that didn't seem to present as much information, or some of the information was dated. And then there was other websites or sources of information that were vast with the amount of information they offered, and in fact a little bit intimidating because there was just so much information and it just required so much time. So I kind of said to myself, you know what, this place has so much to offer, and there's a lot of hidden gems and treasures here, and I want to give back to the island in my way, and I really want to get the word out, and I wanted to put together a site where I could share my experiences with the world, and hopefully, share the tips, the inside tips that most people are not aware of. And I also felt that with people vacationing for the first time, I think it's very typical that if you're a first-time vacationer, there's always a learning curve involved. And I felt that, you know what, all these sites that are currently on the internet are not quite addressing that area. And I wanted to lend a personal touch, and I wanted the world to feel that, you know what, if you're going to do research on Aruba, I wanted them to feel as if they were talking to me like a friend, and they can feel comfortable and confident in knowing that, hey, you know what, this is a personal experience this guy had. And if he says this, that's great. And I think by sharing these tips, not only cuts down on the learning curve, because there's a stumbling process involved when people, want to try to figure out what's what and where to go. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that cuts into your time, but at the same time, I always remembered when I first was looking into Aruba that a lot of people used to say, oh, Aruba's very pricey. Are you sure you want to go there and blah, blah, blah? But what I realized from my own personal experience is that it isn't as expensive as people portrayed it to be. And right. I found a lot of places that actually are very cost-effective and very reasonable. And, you can do things down there that are going to be fun and reasonable, and you don't have to do fine dining every night, or you don't have to do the most expensive excursion. There's a lot of fun things that you could do. So I wanted to put together a site that would share all these great insider tips that otherwise are really not referenced or mentioned in the other sites, and just share it with the world.
Yeah, clicking around Aruba trip tips, I see you have blog posts and your trip tips section and everything. I also see the dining section where it mentions that you're a 6-day vegan.
That's me. I'm sitting next to the carnivore.
Okay.
So, one of my concerns when I travel, I'm not, entirely, completely committed to vegetarianism, but I want the healthy lifestyle, and most of my menu is vegetarian. On special occasions, I might have a treat, but when I travel, I worry about, am I going to find healthy, good quality food, and not, I don't eat fast food, avoid that. And that when I got to Aruba, the first night I was exhausted after the flight and everything, and I was happy to just stay in the room and have a granola bar. And Bill's like, no, we're going out. And I'm like, I'm not a steak eater, so if we're going to a steak place, it's going to be complicated. But I remember where he took me, and it was just such a amount of fresh options that I was like, okay, I'm going to be fine here. This is amazing. In terms of dietary options, there's something for everybody, and that motivated me to write that article. So that everybody can see there are plenty of choices from vegan to vegetarian, gluten-free, and if you want to have your gourmet steak, you can have that too. You can have everything you want there.
And we felt, if I may just interrupt for a moment, and we both felt it was very important because we do have people in our lives that have dietary needs or have made special choices in their life, and I don't think many sites mention that hey, there's a list of restaurants over here that do address the needs of persons who may suffer from celiac disease, and there are vegetarian alternatives and vegan alternatives. So it meant a lot to me because I do have people in my life, who either have made those choices or have suffered, and I wanted to get the word out. So we collaborated in trying to get a very comprehensive list of restaurants to offer that alternative.
Yeah, it's very well done. Probably once a week, because I'm active in a lot of the Facebook groups. Probably about once a week, I see the question, where can I go for vegetarian food? Or, like you said, people with different dietary restrictions. So it's great that you created this resource for them. So anytime I see that from now on, I can refer people over to Aruba Trip Tips.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you, Kurt. That's wonderful feedback. Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other sections that you have on the website?
Well, we do have a sister website. And although the Aruba Trip Tips kind of, cuts to the chase and kind of gets right to the point, general information, where you can save money, places you can dine, so on and so forth. But we also felt that there was an area that really doesn't seem to be talked about much. We put together a site called Aruba Festivals.
Okay.
Which is the sister site, and that pretty much is geared towards a lot of music and a lot of concerts that are now seem to be taking place on the island. And there seems to be a great buzz, a lot of excitement. Just the other month when we were down, my wife and I were down in Aruba, they had Pitbull and some other great performers were down there. I understand Afrojack, he's another great talent who is going to be... He's going to be joining. I think Chris is more suited to answer the questions in that area now, so I'll pass it off to her.
Okay.
Yeah, fan of electronic dance music. So I just saw that there were a lot of shows developing and festivals developing on the island more and more. And I wanted to, continue to develop Aruba Trip Tips as an informational site for all age groups. But I thought Aruba Festivals might cater to the EDM crowd, people in their 20s and 30s and 40s that just like that whole genre of music. So we've been getting out the message as to shows in Aruba
Yeah, that pretty much kind of wraps up the idea with regards to the Aruba Festival site. But do keep.
And what's the URL for that?
It's www.arubafestivals.com.
Okay.
So that's our new pet project. We're constantly coming up with new areas of topics to discuss with our audience. I think our next topic we're going to talk about activities is one up and coming post that we're going to have. We're going to talk about
we have a list of activities that we're putting together right now, and we recognize that the site still has a lot more to address. But again, we've only been around for 1 year. And we have a wealth of information, and we're trying to be very systematic and strategical with the information we want to get out to everyone, and there's going to be a lot of exciting things that are going to be coming up in Aruba Trip Tips in the months to come. So I would definitely encourage some of your audience members to please check in with us either week to week or monthly, because we're always updating our information, and we always attempted to be very user-friendly also.
And we're always posting a monthly trip tip. We've just put the August trip tip up, and that talks about the sun, and sometimes our trip tips are about ways to save money, but other trip tips that we have are about ways to make your experience better, more comfortable, different things like that. We are getting our newsletter out. We have a monthly newsletter. And if anybody's interested, they can sign up on our website, and we'll include them in our mailing list, and we'll get that out to them.
Yeah, I like to think that we try to keep current with what's going on in Aruba.
Well, you guys are definitely on the right track.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We're definitely trying our best.
I'm actually clicking around Aruba festivals right now.
They'll be having Electric Festival next month, so we'll be getting a post up on that very shortly, talking about all the different international DJs that are going to be there. So pretty excited about that.
And I think there's also going to be a jazz festival or something to that effect that's going to be taking place in a few months as well. So that's very exciting. If you're into jazz, I would definitely, if you have any members in your audience that are interested in planning in or around that time, perhaps they should start doing some research.
Right.
That'll be up there
definitely
too,
within the coming weeks. So just wanted to throw that out there.
That's very cool. So much information. I mean, it seems like the festivals are expanding in Aruba. It seems almost like there's something new every month.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time. There's an explosion of growth in many different areas. And, again, one of the premises of our site originally is identifying a need. And I think identifying that there's a different demographic that's taking place on the island, and seems to be, a serious influx of younger people who are excited with, today's music, and they're really focusing on that. So we're excited about the Aruba Festival's sister site also.
So what I want to do right now is turn the focus back onto you guys and your vacations to Aruba.
Sure.
So when you visit the island, do you have a particular place that you like to stay?
Yes, absolutely. My wife and I, we love going to the Holiday Inn in the Palm Beach area.
Is that where you stayed as well?
On my last trip, I stayed at the Holiday Inn. Absolutely loved it. I mean, when you walk through that breezeway out into that courtyard and then beyond to the beach, I was just like, oh, this is exactly what I needed. The view is amazing. But I'm going to, with each of my trips, I think I'm going to try different locations so I can get a good sampling and a good feel. So my next trip, I'm staying at Brickell Bay. I'm excited about that. So I'm going to be more nomadic than Bill and Eileen. They love the Holiday Inn, and I do too.
Right.
That's my game plan. I'm going to try every place I can on each of my trips.
And that's great. That's great. To check out different places and everything. But there is a reason why my wife and I choose the Holiday Inn. Aside pretty much from what Christina said about the hotel being beautiful and very pleasant. And just recently they've redone their garden. They've renovated their garden and actually renovated one of their towers and the hotel, all taking place within the last year to 2 years. Very, very beautiful. But the reality is, there's something called location. And we like the Holiday Inn because of the location. It
is excellent.
It's such a excellent location, and maybe not many people might be aware, but all the things that are going on around the Holiday Inn and the opportunity to simply walk out of the hotel, walk right across the street to the newly constructed mall that's been around there for several years now, the Paseo Herencia Mall, has a great amount of stores, shops, entertainment that's constantly going on. And again, this is just pretty much right across the street from the Holiday Inn. Not to mention the roadways where, you have the boulevard, the Orasquin Boulevard that leads right into L.G. Smith Boulevard, which pretty much acts as a springboard to take off to any direction in the island from there very quickly.
That's true. I mean, for the high-rise area, the Holiday Inn seems to be sort of the nucleus, and it's a lot of the activities, a lot of the dining, it's all walking distance, which is nice. So you don't have to rent a car. You can just go around on foot and enjoy the view.
Absolutely.
Well, the Brickell Bay is a pretty good location as well.
Yeah, I had always wanted to stay there as well, so I'm excited to have this opportunity. It looks lovely. and I think we're going to have an awesome time.
Yeah, I'm sure you will have a great time. So you mentioned dining. I know earlier we talked about the vegetarian dining. What about you, Bill? What's one of your favorite places to eat?
Oh my God, there's so many.
Yeah.
Do you have that much time, Kurt? Because actually, I'll go over a few restaurants that are definitely key. And this is my problem, and I admit it. As much as I like to explore different restaurants, the thing is, since Aruba is a 1-year excursion for my wife and I, and since we enjoy the restaurants that we've been there so much that we really look forward to it throughout the entire year to go to that restaurant. So kind of exploring other restaurants and not going to the same restaurant actually runs the risk of not having that same meal that we've been craving for 1 year.
Right.
So although we do explore other restaurants as well. But let me get to your question though. I love going to Texas to Brazil. Again,
Yes.
the proximity of the restaurant to the hotel, the Holiday Inn that is literally about a block and a half away. And and I'm a creature of comfort. When I go on vacation, I want to minimize the amount of energy that's actually utilized. So that's just me. So I love walking to the restaurant. The food is fantastic. Again, the people are really wonderful over there. We've made great friends. And in fact, that was the restaurant earlier on where I said that my father and I went to back in 2004. That subsequently I took my wife there. And the waitress that I had met in 2004 remembered us in 2006. Actually remembered me and my father in 2006. So the people are very, very pleasant over there. The food is excellent. The atmosphere is wonderful.
One of the things I love the most about Texas de Brazil is even though it's geared towards carnivores, it also has an excellent salad bar for the vegetarians that travel with us sometimes.
Absolutely, Kurt. I could not agree with you more. And in fact, when we were putting the article together, we were inspired by that notion that this is a fantastic restaurant that definitely caters to carnivores. But at the same time, there's a missed opportunity. There's a lot of people who are not aware that they have this fantastic selection at the salad bar. And I think, if memory serves me correct, there's probably over 35 dishes or 40 dishes or 40 alternatives that you could choose from. Just as easily cater to a vegan and a vegetarian and carnivores. And also, I believe they offer sushi as well.
Yeah, they have a little bit of everything.
So they have a tremendous selection. And even the desserts are to die for. Oh, my goodness.
And they have, in my opinion, the best sangria on the island.
Are you?
It was very good. I remember it was very good right there.
Well, I did want to mention a couple of others. Again, out of convenience, there's the Pelican Nest restaurant. That's, again, right around the Holiday Inn. There's a pier that extends into the water. Naturally, I guess that's what piers do.
Right.
And there's a restaurant that's called the Pelican Nest. And my wife and I have gone there on occasion after, let's say, a long day of just resting in the sun and relaxing. And if we didn't want to really go anywhere, we would just pretty much go back to the hotel room, get showered up, get ready, and just walk right back out, pretty much right behind the Holiday Inn onto the pier, and would have a lovely, lovely meal over there. The ambiance is very, very nice. The people very nice. I would definitely recommend it. Another favorite of mine is the Flying Fish Bone. I would say, without a doubt, is probably one of the best and most memorable restaurants I've ever been to.
So you want to describe that a little bit? I've never been there.
Okay, well, the Flying Fish Bone is a little bit more south along the coast. It's probably closer to the San Nicolas area. And it's a bit of a hike. You'd have to take probably a cab because there's no buses that I'm aware that would take you out there. So I would either have to rent a cab or rent a car. But it's well worth it. And this restaurant is a seafood restaurant, naturally. And I think they do offer meat as well. But primarily a seafood restaurant. And what a lot of people may not know is that some of the tables, not all of them, are sitting in the water. So you can actually dine with your feet and actually legs in the water while the sun is setting over the water in this very, very comfortable, atmosphere where people are just enjoying themselves and really enjoying the sunset and the food. And I like to point out this is a very special place in my life because This is where I proposed to my wife, and
sounds like perfection, honestly.
it really is, and it's just very touching. So forgive me if I'm a little choked up at the moment because
Probably one of the most romantic restaurants I've ever been to, ever.
But the neat thing about it is it's romantic where couples could really enjoy themselves. And but it's geared toward a very family oriented feel as well. There are families who go there, and they enjoy themselves. So I think it really caters to all types.
Right.
I would highly
Very
recommend it. And again, that's where I proposed to my wife, and it was very touching for me, because it was the most touching experience of my life.
Well, you guys brought me along on our trip last year, and just dining with my feet in the water, watching the sun go down, nothing beat that.
Yes, I've never done that.
Great. Well, you must. We highly recommend that you do go to Flying Fishbone and have that experience, because you'll never forget it.
And we actually, on Aruba Trip Tips, if you go to our web, our webpage, the front page, in our slideshow, because we do have a slideshow of various shots of the island. One of the slides is actually a picture taken at the Flying Fishbone.
The one where we have the beautiful lanterns on the table. They light those in the evening, and it just makes the place look magical. It's just gorgeous.
I was wondering where that picture was taken.
Right.
Yeah, it's really nice. I would definitely recommend it to everyone, and if you get a chance, just do it once. You're going to enjoy yourself. And the food is quite excellent.
Well, what about activities? What do you guys like to do?
Okay. I'm very active. I like to do a lot, to be honest with you. I'm like a fish. I love water activities. I've definitely been snorkeling down there. I definitely have gone kayaking, open ocean kayaking along the coast.
Okay.
I've definitely been horseback riding several times, paddle boarding, parasailing. There was also, at a point in time, they used to offer in Aruba go-karts, which was really neat because, they have ATV excursions and horseback excursions, and they have general Jeep tours, or you can rent a Jeep yourself. But the time earlier on when I went to Aruba, they used to have go-karts that was suited for the desert. Because a lot of people are not aware, a lot of people believe that Aruba is a tropical island, but there's actually a great portion of the island that seems to have a very arid climate and terrain. And we had these go-karts that they allowed you to rent out, and they took you with a guide, and it was pretty fun. I felt like being a kid again, just riding across the island on the desert side in a go-kart was a really neat experience. So I've done a number of things, I think.
So what would you say, if you could pick one, what would it be?
I love horseback riding, and if that's something that people like to do, I would strongly recommend checking out the different tours that are offered.
Do you have a particular one that you like to use?
Well, I tried the different ranches over there, and I've tried different ranches. There's one that I think very highly of. Actually, most of them I thought highly of. But the first one that I used was called Rancho Notorioso.
Okay.
They were very excellent. They were very professional, very well controlled. They were very concerned about their riders, and that's what I liked. It was very reassuring, and I felt very comfortable with them because in the years to come, when I did take my wife down there, then girlfriend, I wanted her to go riding with me, and she had a bit of a fear with horses, but
okay.
I did communicate that to them, and I said, hey, you know what, please, can you make sure that this is going to be a horse that's well suited to, my wife's concerns? And it was sure, no problem and everything. So I always remember they gave her Slow Joe, and he was one of the older horses, and it was great. It was great. She had a wonderful time, and I think even my wife, as concerned as she was even getting impatient with Slow Joe. But
Slow Joe would probably be good for me.
Maybe, I don't know. But they were very good. They were very good. Excellent. Highly recommendable. Then there was another ranch that I went to, and I can't remember the name. I had a great time. I think that they took us to another section of the island, but they took us to the natural pool, which was great because they kind of took you through the neighborhoods leading up to the desert. And then we kind of traversed the desert to get to one of the well-known landmarks that they have, which is the natural pool. Absolutely beautiful. So you travel on horseback, a section through the dunes on very, very beautiful white sand dunes. Then you get to the cliffs where the natural pool is. You dismount. You're allowed to go down there swimming, taking pictures, whatever you like. And then after that, they took you to different sections of the island. And that was beautiful. And I had a wonderful time.
Yeah, all that just sounds wonderful.
It really is.
So what about you, Christina? What do you like to do?
Well, I like water sports quite a lot. But on the last trip, I was really just looking for R&R. Bill just wouldn't let me lie on the beach. He wanted to show me the desert side of the island. He said, you got to see both sides of it. So we rented a Jeep. And we went on a little bit of an adventure in the desert, which was great. Took me to see the church.
We went to the old church.
The old church there.
We went to the house.
Yeah, and that was great. It was such a contrast to see, the tropical side, and then we were, right alongside these giant cactuses, so that was amazing. But then we went sort of we went to the mines, the gold mines, and we went to the ruins, I meant to say, and we went kind of climbing, and it was great to climb to the very top of the mines and see, I don't know how many feet up, maybe we were like 40 feet up or something.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
30, 40 feet up and climb to the top and see the view. And so for us, I like a little bit of an adventure as well. So I think next time we're going to go, he's going to take me to go see the caves. And we're going to explore the caves in Aruba National Park in that area.
Yeah.
So I'm also into that kind of a fun trip.
Yeah, the caves are pretty fun, pretty amazing.
I honestly don't think you've seen Aruba until you've rented that Jeep and explored on your own.
You really have to.
Yeah.
Such a contrast to the resort side.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely, I could agree more.
So, are you guys ready to visit the Eye of the Hurricane?
We'll try.
Okay, we'll do our best.
As you know, Aruba lies below the hurricane belt, but on One Happy Podcast, we visit the Eye of the Hurricane. So this is where I ask you a series of questions, and you guys get back to me with amazing answers based on your experiences and knowledge of Aruba. Finish this sentence. You know you're in Aruba when?
When you don't hear car alarms going off in the middle of the night, and you don't hear excessive cars honking, when you finally feel the warmth of the Aruba sun on your face, day to day, with the trade winds blowing all day and all night long, keeping you cool. And I think the key here is just the outright hospitality of the Aruban people.
Okay, Christina, now it's your turn.
The wind in my hair, toes in the sand, and the beautiful turquoise ocean. I see once I've gotten all those senses, satisfied. I'm in Aruba. I'm there.
Give me a no-brainer great time in Aruba.
No-brainer great time that I had one time, actually twice, was a little excursion that wasn't really known. The only reason I found out about it was, when you arrive to the airport, a lot of people may not know that when you arrive to the airport in the capital, you're greeted by some people from Aruba, and they provide you kind of like a gift bag of coupons and flyers, which are pretty much like specials and advertisements of what's going on, activities, restaurants, discounts. And one year I remember looking through it, and there was a flyer. I think it was a blue flyer, and there was a mention of a kayaking and snorkeling excursion that was offered for a very, very reasonable price. And what it included was, they picked you up from the hotel, they drove you out to the site, they kind of gave you, some training on kayaking if you were not familiar. And then they give you two options. One tour would allow you to go kayaking along the coast, which is pretty much open ocean, to a barrier reef where you can go snorkeling. And the other option was, I think, a little bit more intimidating for me, because it really crossed the ocean to, I think it was Palm Island, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And that was a little bit scary. I kayaked before, but open ocean kayaking, is a little bit different than going on a lake.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to push it.
Yeah, I didn't want to push it. And to be quite honest with you, the experience I had going along the coastline to the barrier reef was outstanding. It was tremendous. It was the first time I was doing open ocean kayaking It was very thrilling. Of course, you're a little nervous and everything, but I guess that nervousness is the thrill factor that actually made it that much more fantastic. And then we arrived at this barrier reef, which was kind of like, I guess, a lagoon, for lack of a better term. But it was beautiful. Then what you basically did was you pretty much parked your kayaks on the little makeshift beach that they had over there, and then they took you out. Snorkeling. And wow, what a tremendous experience. I would definitely recommend it to everyone. Mm-hmm. And then pretty much when that finished up, they took you to the Balashi Beer Factory at the time. I'm not sure if they still do this, but they also provided lunch for you. And it was a great day. It was a great day, and it wasn't like these long days that they pick you up at 8 and the day ends at like 5.
Right.
If I remember correctly, it was not just enough time that you enjoyed yourself, you did your thing at your own pace, but they still got you home enough early, well, to the hotel, that is, that you still had the remainder of the day to enjoy the sun or other activities too. I think we got back like around 2 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it was a fantastic time.
It sounds like a pretty awesome operation.
It really was, and I'm surprised because it's really not advertised as much as you think it would be. And again, that leads to the premise of my site. These are the treasures that we would like to share with the world that not many people are aware of.
Exactly. What about you, Christina? What's a no-brainer great time in Aruba?
Just getting out to the beach early on, hanging around by the palapas was a lot of fun. Then we just walked over to the beach bar over there, and it was a real casual environment. They had the game on the flat screen there, and we were able to get some drink specials, and later we were able to...
Carlito's Bar and Grill.
Okay.
And we were able to talking about the Balashi Beer Factory. We got a bucket of Balashis and some pizza, and headed over to the beach and hung out until the sun was going down, which was awesome. And then Bill and his wife took me over to, I don't know how to gamble, I don't know much about it, but they took me over to the Crystal Casino.
The Crystal Casino, right.
And they taught me how to play Caribbean stud poker.
We introduced to the Caribbean stud poker.
How'd you do?
Next thing I know, all the sirens are going off, and I'm like, what did I do? Because apparently I didn't even realize I won.
Oh, nice.
Can you imagine, Kurt? I've been going there for how many years now? I took her there for the first time. Ever hear about beginner's luck? Hope behold.
So
very nice.
I didn't even know what was going on, but it was, realizing that I had won, I was like, wow. This is a day I'll never forget. This was a fun day,
Sure.
So, different things. I mean, if you're into activities and want to be active, you can do it. If you just want to hang out, Aruba will do it for you too.
It was kind of funny because, my cousin's very innocent and she's not really a gambler. So, she was having fun with us. And she didn't realize she had, I think, 4 of a kind. And she was just like, I think, consulting with my wife and saying, hey, is this any good? What does this be? And my wife's jaw dropped and her eyes popped out, and I took notice, and all of a sudden, bing, 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 bing. It was really a great experience. So I'm very happy for her. I didn't win, but I'm happy for her, though.
Right. That does sound like a no-brainer great time in Aruba, winning at a game that you have no clue how to play. So what would you say is the best-kept secret in Aruba?
Well, Kurt, naturally, I'd have to say Aruba Trip Tips is probably
right?
one of the best-kept secrets. But, we are really trying to get the word out. And there are a couple of things, though, that I did want to mention. Because there are a lot. But, again, I'm not going to keep you here all day with the list of secrets. It was amazing to me that when I went down in 2004 to the Holiday Inn with my father, we tried to enjoy the area, explore what we could, and we spent a lot of time on the beach, just soaking it all up. But it wasn't until, I think, the second time I arrived there back in 2006 and the following years that, had I just simply walked down the beach from the Holiday Inn towards the direction of the Marriott, I would have realized that Moomba's Beach Bar was there, and I never even knew it. And Moomba's Beach Bar, I really enjoy it. It's a great restaurant bar right on the beach. If that's the sort of thing somebody's looking into, that would be a great place to go. I've had many a great time. with my wife going there. I mean, they've had great drink specials. There was another time where they had a karaoke contest that I participated in and won something, and it was a great deal.
Oh, nice.
Everybody had a lot of great energy there. Then there was another time my wife and I went, and they were filming. It was funny because they didn't start it when we got there. We were just hanging out, drinking, I guess talking to whoever was there. And then all of a sudden this production company was there, and all of a sudden they started filming a video for these performers that I think were from South America. And they had no problem. You could just stand around as long as you didn't interfere with the video. And it was great. Very, very exciting thing, you know. So we had a good time. And, you know, great meals, great specials too. Very, very reasonable. And I've had...
Yeah, I love Moombas.
Yeah, they have good food. But the funny thing is, again, here's a treasure that most people don't know. And the first year that I went, here I was, and Holiday Inn is relatively right next door to Moombas.
Right.
And I knew nothing about it. And why? Because there wasn't really much mention of the place that I saw or remember, or there wasn't really much of an emphasis on publicizing it. You know, they may have been some names there like Moombas, but without me really knowing what it was all about, it just didn't register. So that's one place that I think is a real gem and a real treat. And it definitely caters to the folks, I think, in the Palm Beach area, because that's all along the high-rise areas. There's another little gem that I didn't know about until a few years of going to Aruba. One time my girlfriend's daughter was sharing with her boss that we were going to Aruba, her mother and her boyfriend, me, at the time. And this gentleman apparently was a long-time vacation in Aruba, and he just mentioned to her, oh, make sure that they go to Linda's Pancake House. But unfortunately, he didn't provide the address for us. So, okay, as long as we had the name, we thought to ourselves, like, okay, we got the name, we'll find it from there. But, you know, I gotta be honest with you, what I found very surprising was when we were asking at the hotel, and we were asking some of the locals, whether it was like in a store or, you know, across the street or whatever. We were asking, hey, do you know where Linda's Pancake House is? And I was very surprised that we asked several people, and they had no idea who Linda's Pancake House was, or where it was. And these are the locals who actually worked in the area, you know, I guess in the area. And, well, lo and behold, we were able to find Linda's Pancake House. And we had a tremendous experience, because if you've never been there, or some others in your audience may have not been there, it's a traditional Dutch pancake house. And I just want to make clear that those type of pancakes are kind of like crepe-like pancakes that are almost like little small pizzas, and they're not your typical American flapjacks that people might confuse them for.
Right, definitely not.
So I think there's an emphasis there. If you want to check out Linda's Pancake House, just don't be surprised or disappointed, because they prepared their traditional Dutch pancakes. They're not American. In any case, they were fantastic with the fresh toppings they offered, the whipped cream, and which I found kind of neat was I like banana pancakes, and they served a shot of banana liqueur so that I can splash up and kind of add a little kick to my breakfast.
Right.
I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, you're on vacation. Why not?
Absolutely. So I would definitely say that those are definitely two little nuggets that I would like to share with the world, and it's a best kept secret.
Are there any special tools, apps, or resources that you use when planning your trips to Aruba?
Yeah, you know, the thing is, in developing our website, we've talked to a lot of people and a lot of site owners and different business owners in Aruba that have become our friends and supported us and given us a lot of inspiration on how we speak about Aruba. You know, we're also pretty active in social media, so we've befriended a lot of folks there that are either basically speaking about their knowledge of the Caribbean, their knowledge of Aruba, their just global travel knowledge. So that's been hugely helpful. We're pretty active in Twitter, where we do weekly chats and co-host actually a chat that goes on in Twitter, where we talk about travel topics and our own experiences in Aruba. Also, we really want to mention Knights Publications. They're a local publisher in Aruba, and they really have the minute-by-minute updates as to what's going on on a daily basis, event-wise in Aruba. We kind of talk about Aruba as travelers, and get the message out to people in the Northern Hemisphere about why Aruba is amazing and why you should go down there. But Knight's publication really has a minute-to-minute information, and they've been very supportive to us, great friends, and
absolutely.
That could be another source of info for your audience to learn about what how to plan their trip to Aruba besides Aruba Trip tips.
Yeah, Knights. That's one of the publications you get in the gift bag, right?
I do believe they can. I don't know if it's in the gift bag, but it is in the local shops there. So if you go into a store, you can pick up. They've got a dining guide, and they've got.
I do remember getting one of the pamphlets. I'm not quite sure where I got it. I think it could have been the hotel, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Or one of the stores I went to, or just somewhere I went to. But there is mention of them. And I think actually my wife and I went to the butterfly farm for the first time. That's another great excursion. It's very family oriented and very fascinating. That I would definitely recommend families to go to their children. But I don't want to get off the topic. I think at the butterfly farm they also had a copy of the Aruba Nights publication pamphlet over there also. One tool that I want to follow with what Christina was saying that I want to make mention of. When researching going down there, again, I mentioned earlier that there were a number of websites that, yes, were helpful to a degree. Unfortunately, some stuff was dated and whatever and what have you. And they've been, still a source of reference and knowledge for us. But a tool that we've just started recently using, which I think is going to be a very trendy thing that people are going to really enjoy. There's something called Aruba Coupons to Go. Now, This is pretty much a new company that's just pretty much started developing an app. And again, they're in the developmental stages, so they're still, working out a number of things. But basically what they're all about is an app that you can download to your phone. And, in today's world, everybody having to bring their smartphones or iPhones or what have you with you, it's actually become a very practical idea to produce this app. And what they basically do is, traditionally what they used to do was provide you a whole bunch of coupons at the airport when they greet you and all these specials and discounts. But what this app now allows you to do is, rather than having to remember, where did I put that coupon or keep it, if you go to this app, you can check out the list of restaurants that are currently offering specials and discounts or stores, and you can just pretty much pull it up on your phone, show it at the restaurant or store, and then you can redeem it just as easy as that. And I just started using that, and to give a very quick story, I went to Tony Roma's, which is right across the street from the Holiday Inn, and they offered and acknowledged the coupon. I showed it to them, and that's it. They honored it, and we got a free dessert.
Nice. Yeah, that's very cool.
I think it's pretty cool, and I think it might be very helpful to a lot of people.
Yeah, because normally what I do when I get the bag with the coupons is the coupons are still in the bag whenever I leave Aruba.
Right.
So being able to carry around a smartphone app would be much more.
Absolutely.
So do you have something you bring from home or pick up as soon as you arrive to help you take your vacation to the next level?
Well, I think for me, the little ritual that my wife and I do when we get to Aruba is we get to the Holiday Inn, we check in, and since we get there usually late in the afternoon, pretty much hungry at that time. So what we do, and this is pretty much the ritual, we go right away to the Tony Roma's that's right across the street, because we love the ribs. I'm going to be quite honest with you, I love the ribs. Again, we're creatures of comfort. We don't like going needlessly further than we have to. So we're just going to pop into the Tony Roma's, and then probably when this is the early stages of the decompression process. So once we finally have a meal, then what we'd probably do is start walking to the Paseo Herencia Mall, which is, again, right across the street from the Holiday Inn. And kind of hit the deli over there to try to pick up like some provisions to take back to the room. Probably like a 6-pack of balashis or a bottle of wine or some chips, that if you get a hankering in the middle of the night that you can start chomping on, We take it pretty much back to the room, and then we pretty much walk around the boulevard to just check out what's happening and what's going on.
And what about you, Christina?
I just got to get out to the beach as fast as possible. As soon as I drop that suitcase, I put my flip-flops on and I haul over to that to the beach and want to just make contact with the cool sand, and then that's my thing. I just head out to the water and just at least up to my ankles, just so that I could say I'm there. and that's it for me.
Sounds good. What's missing from Aruba, or how do you think Aruba could be improved?
Well, you know something, Kurt. I've been going there for a number of years, and again, I love everything Aruba has to offer. But you know what I found a little kind of unique and a little unusual is that like going to like some bars or restaurants around the Palm Beach area, especially like around the holiday, and I don't really seem to hear like traditional Aruban music or Caribbean music, and I'm not against music, other types of music, but if I want to feel like the tropical feel or the Aruban feel, I think it may be an improvement if they can perhaps start focusing on traditional Aruban music. I think it'd be kind of neat to hear, so I can fully take advantage of the full effect, being in the islands. And so I think that's one minor improvement, it'd be kind of nice to hear some Caribbean music,
Yeah, definitely understandable. So how about you, Christina? How do you feel Aruba could be improved?
It's a tough question. I would probably agree with Bill. I was a little surprised that, hanging out at the beach and all, that I was hearing popular music as opposed to, regional sounds. And that was the only thing. I think that was the only thing, me as well, the music, and I'm a big music lover, and, I of course, having developed Aruba festivals, I love EDM, I love what's popular now, but I guess wanting a more regional experience, I missed that, and was a little bit like surprised, but that's not really a complaint.
Yeah, it's not really a complaint.
Right.
It's probably more an observation.
And other than that, somehow making time last longer, so that the trip just could go on forever is my only other request.
Right, that'd be an awesome thing to develop. If you had a chance, would you move to Aruba?
That's a very good question. I've often thought about that in the past, but I think from the vacationer's perspective, especially with Aruba, it is paradise, without question. But remember, that's vacation, where you like to be pampered and everybody's really going out of your way, and you're not doing anything other than letting people take care of you. But my only concern is, I guess at this time in my age, that again, even paradise, you have to work in paradise. So if I relocated down in paradise, I would still be working. I mean, granted, the atmosphere and the ambiance would be a hell of a lot more, pleasurable to work in. But I don't know. I think it'd be a different feel. Since I haven't really lived there, it's kind of hard for me to say that, this would be the solution for me. I think it's beautiful, and the notion that I have somewhere to run away to and forget all the ills of the world is a wonderful thing. But I'm not sure if I'm going to have the same feel if I'm no longer being pampered and I have to actually work there every day.
Right.
So, I'm not sure at this time. I'm a little unsure. But probably maybe as I get older, when I start to slow down and ease up, and then I probably might be more receptive to the idea of perhaps moving to Aruba.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Christina?
Oh, in a heartbeat. The kind of work that I do and my husband also does, all we need is a good internet connection, and we have no problem. We were down there.
Right.
So we could pick up and go at a moment's notice, and I think it's definitely retirement, or at least, moving to warmer climes outside of these New York City winters, like last winter. Is definitely something we're talking about, dreaming about, maybe one day.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I struggle with. Initially, I think, of course I would want to move there. But then I start to think, would it become less special for me if I lived there all the time? Because as you mentioned, we would have daily responsibilities like work.
Right.
I'm not certain if I want to be in Aruba doing that. I think I want to keep Aruba special. A place that I just visit when I want to leave all that other stuff behind. But then, like you said, as you get older, when retirement age rolls around, that all bets are off.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you didn't get a chance to do on your last trip that you guys are looking forward to on your upcoming trips?
Absolutely. I think that this past vacation, we were celebrating not only the anniversary of our engagement, but our wedding anniversary too. And this time I wanted to make it something spectacular with my wife. So for the first time on the anniversary of our wedding day, we were going to go skydiving and try something that we've never done before. And we were very excited in looking forward to doing it. But believe it or not, on the very day that we were scheduled to do it, keep in mind, I'm scared of heights too, so I was very nervous.
Okay.
And people kept on asking, my God, if you're scared of heights, what's wrong with you? Why are you even doing it? Why are you putting yourself through this? And I kept on asking myself the same question. But, in life, I think you kind of have to overcome your fears. And you know what? This is an exhilarating, experience that I think one time in your life a person should experience if you can, And of course, we selected a company that had an excellent track record also. So I just had to do it. In any case, the day we were going to do it, all of a sudden they called us up early in the morning, and they said, well, you know what? You were scheduled for today, but I'm sorry, we're going to have to cancel. I'm like, what happened? Well, unfortunately, it's too windy, and we can't go up there. Now, it's kind of scary when they say it's too windy. Aruba, they're known for their trade winds yearly. Okay, so if they have to cancel a trip, then you kind of got an idea of how bad it really was.
Right, yeah, definitely.
On one hand, I was disappointed, but secretly, on the other hand, I was off the hook, and I was like, oh my God, thank God.
So do you plan on doing that in the future?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. You still got another year to gather up your courage.
Yeah, I have 1 year.
What about you, Christina?
Well, I'm also celebrating an anniversary this year. I'm married to my husband 30 years. And
oh, nice. Congrats.
Thank you. We traveled to Las Vegas in February and then hopped on a Harley and toured the Red Rocks National Landmark there, which was really amazing and just solidified more my love of the desert and that kind of climate and those landscapes and views. So I just showed him the tour Aruba Trikes, where you can go out and tour with the passenger in the back on those cool trike motorcycles. So he's like, okay, done, we're doing that. So we're looking forward to touring Aruba on the trikes, since we love to go out on motorcycles and do things like that. So that's already part of our itinerary. We're set.
Yeah, I hear so many people give that excursion high marks. It seems like it's becoming a lot more popular these days too.
Yeah, I'm hearing more about it.
Now, this is the final question of the Eye of the Hurricane. The people of Aruba have decided to lock you out of paradise. That's right, they're no longer allowing visitors to the island. However, since you've been such great guests, they've decided to allow you to visit for one more day, but only one more day. How do you spend your last day on the island of Aruba?
Well, for me, I would say it's going to be a day of relaxation. I would just head out to that beach early on and pretty much spend my whole day there. When we were there, Bill's wife had the foresight to bring those kind of microphone floats that you could put in.
Love those things.
And I could have floated to Europe in one of those that day because I didn't want to get out of it. I mean, I just really loved it, and my day would be that from sun up to sunset. They'd have to, fish me back in, So that's what I would say for me. A beautiful day at the beach.
Okay, sounds perfect. What about you, Bill?
Well, if it was my last day, I definitely would have to say that, my wife is going to be a part of that day, and I think with all the wonderful people that we've met along the way, some who are still there, some who've moved on, who work there, live there, these interactions that we've had, and thanks to many of these people and the people as a whole, the Aruban people as a whole, they were the ones who significantly contributed to our great times there. So if I had a choice, I definitely would like to say that I would invite some of the many people who I've met along the way to have the opportunity to really share a wonderful, warm day with these folks. Because again, these are the people who enhanced all the time prior that I've been there. And I would like for all of us to probably just go to the beach, have some tropical drinks, great laughs, enjoy ourselves, go out to dinner. And I would like to say that would probably be one of the most impactful memories that I would like to leave the island with, is sharing it with the people who actually made the original experience possible.
Man, you gave me goosebumps with that one.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I was able to picture like everything in my vision. I was picturing all the people that have made my trips special. So I guess that concludes the Eye of the Hurricane. You guys survived it. How was it?
Oh, awesome.
Fantastic and exciting. It's very exciting. Thank you so much, Kurt.
Okay, so the last question I like to ask before I let you guys get out of here is, right now, let's pretend like there's someone listening that's on the fence about whether or not they should visit Aruba. What would you say to that person to convince them that Aruba should be their next vacation destination?
I would definitely say, do your research. Do your research and make sure that this is something that you're going to be well suited to enjoy. And I would naturally point out, please check us out on Aruba Trip Tips and try to find out things and valuable tips and insights that are going to enhance your time there. So please check us out, do your research, and give it a chance, because paradise comes along once in your life, and it would be very sad to think that somebody may have missed out on the opportunity, and not really, share that opportunity with others in their life like we have in ours.
And what about you, Christina?
Well, I would say, think about making your trip a mixture of relaxation and exciting new experiences. Find activities that you love, and I'm sure you can find ways to do them on Aruba. There's so many options. And at the same time, if you want to mix in some relaxation, it's all there for you. You can find everything you want and the rest of your traveling group. So there's something for everyone there. So I think it's the perfect island amongst all the islands out there to find a dream vacation.
Something for everyone. That actually does sum it up perfectly. So, before you guys get out of here, why don't you give a rundown of the various places where we can find you on the internet?
Sure.
You can find us on Twitter.
At Aruba Trip Tips on Twitter. Facebook is Aruba Trip Tips. Our page on Facebook. On Instagram, we're also Aruba Trip Tip.
Pinterest.
We're also on Pinterest. And, of course, our website, www.arubatriptips.com, on our sister site, www.arubafestivals.com. And we also participate on Twitter on various chats, pound TRLT, pound Travex.
Also keep an eye out for us, because I did say earlier we're going to be introducing in the coming months a whole bunch of new things. And YouTube, we're going to be producing and releasing our new YouTube channel within the coming months.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff.
It is going to be exciting.
So, okay, guys, I guess I'll let you guys get out of here. Thanks for joining me on One Happy Podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kurt. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. So, there you have it. Another fantastic episode of One Happy Podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. I want to thank the Aruba Trip Tips team, Bill and Christina, for being such fantastic guests, and I want to thank you guys for being such an incredible audience. This episode was a long one, but we talked about so many different things that I definitely think it was time well spent. Now, if you missed something, don't worry, as you can always check out the show notes page, which contains a summary and links to everything we talked about today. This can be found at onehappypodcast.com/EP26. Onehappypodcast.com is the headquarters for everything podcast related. There you can find show archives, show notes, and a growing list of resources. And also the Share Your Story page, where you'll want to visit if you would like to be a guest on a future episode of the show to share your Aruba story with the community. Also remember to check out arubatriptips.com for information about all things Aruba. But until next time, hit the music.